Just a short time ago, Pope Francis arrived in Baghdad for the first ever papal visit to that country. It's a scheduled 4-day trip, a very public show of support for the local Christian community suffering under attacks from Islamic militants. But the timing is controversial. COVID infections are rising in Iraq, and there are concerns over the country's security. Livesay is traveling with Pope Francis.
It's a trip 2,000 years in the making, the first time any pope in the history of Christianity has set foot in the birthplace of Abraham of the Old Testament. Coming, he says, as a pilgrim of peace on his first trip since the dawn of the pandemic, wasting no time since getting vaccinated last month to visit one of the most ancient and beleaguered Christian communities on earth. Decades of war and terrorism have squeezed them into the margins, says Archbishop Bashar Warda of Erbil.
2/3 of the Christians left Iraq, bombing churches, kidnapping and killing bishop and priests and Christians. Because they are Christians, that's religiously motivated.
The town of Karakosh, historically Christian, was sacked by ISIS militants in 2014 and retaken by Iraqi forces in 2016. Today, Christian refugees are returning and rebuilding and preparing for the Pope's visit on Sunday. Pope Francis has insisted on coming here, despite the many challenges and the many people who didn't want him to, says this Christian from Karakosh. Throughout Iraq, ISIS and other threats have hardly disappeared. This past Wednesday, 10 rockets slammed into an airbase, leaving one U.S. contractor dead, the latest in an uptick in violence from militia and terror groups. Even deadlier, the coronavirus pandemic. Iraq now averaging 4,000 new cases daily, with triple the infections in the past month. In a country with hospitals left threadbare by decades of unrest and ill-equipped to cope with what some fear could be a series of super spreader events. Judging from past papal trips abroad, Iraqi and Vatican authorities insist COVID safety measures will be strictly enforced and note that Pope Francis and his entourage have all been inoculated. But the throngs of Iraqis expected to crowd at his masses, speeches, and prayers have not.
Aboard the papal plane, Pope Francis thanked me and the other journalists for coming with him and said how happy he was to be able to travel again. Next up, he's meeting with the president and prime minister, where he's expected to bring up religious freedom. Tony?
Livesay for us, reporting from Iraq. Thank you very much.